Hello and welcome back to MoonShotStudios. I am Ben and we are continuing on the tutorial series today. So we're picking up where we last left off in the space station after we left the first planet. If you haven't watched the first video in the series, I suggest going back to watch that if you don't know how to get off the first planet. Otherwise, here we are in the station. One thing I like to do at every station is go up over here. There's a lot of things that you can buy, a lot of things that you can do here. But one thing that I do at every station is I go over here to the EXOSUIT upgrade. And we go ahead and get an EXOSUIT upgrade. Now, you can choose either the technology part or the cargo part. So it really just depends on what you're going to need most. I think right now I'm going to go ahead and get a new cargo slot. And there we go. And now let's head over to the planet and build a base. So if your ship is aimed at the signal source or any icon that you're flying towards, it should automatically track it. So if you noticed, it kind of flew towards it and then turned, and now we're heading straight at it. So we entered the atmosphere and we're on a new planet, different from the one we just took off from. Mission destination reached, land to begin search. So to land, we'll hit E, and that'll find a landing spot for us. Go ahead and get out. So if you see this icon with the paw and the red circle, that means there's a creature here that's mean and is going to try to kill you. So that's not good. I don't actually have any weapons right now or anything to feed this creature, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shoot my mining laser at him and then apologize. Because that was not what I wanted to do. Alright, so we have to initiate this target sweep. And there's another upset creature over here. It looks like he might wants us to go generally this direction. Now, here's a little hint. If you're ever looking for oxygen, most of the time these hazardous plants give you oxygen. So you can kill two birds with one stone. You can get rid of a hazardous plant that can hurt you, and you can get oxygen. Just kind of do this, and then when we're close enough, it'll target the signal and lock it. And you'll have more of a specific place to go. The sparking wires of the machine generate a signal, tapping out its broadcast into the void. Whoever left this message is long gone. Decipher signal. As well as the log entry, the signal contains plans for a base computer and a terrain manipulator. That's super handy. With any luck, the base computer will hold more information about whoever is leaving these messages. Extract plans. So there's a base computer and it requires chromatic metal. And there is our terrain manipulator. It requires 2 carbon nanotubes, and a hydrogen jelly. And now I'm getting attacked by this dude. I really hate having to kill animals. Most planets you land on don't have animals that want you dead. So I'm actually surprised that that's happening. It wants me to make the terrain manipulator, which is a really handy tool. So to do that, we need 2 carbon nanotubes. So we'll build 2 of those. And here it says left click to build, but then you can change the craft amount with A and D. So I hit D to make it 2. I clicked, it made 2. And then we also need a dihydrogen jelly. We only need 1 of those, I think. And there we go. Oops. So then we can go to our multi-tool, put the terrain manipulator in there. That's going to be handy because that's going to allow us to mine copper and any kind of deposit of metal, which we're going to need to build a base computer. So to find the copper that it wants us to gather now, you see down in the bottom right, it says gather copper, use the analysis visor to locate deposits. So we hold down F, we're going to see a bunch of these diamonds with white diamonds inside, and these are deposits of like more advanced materials. So that one's, I usually like to go for the closest one, so that's 508. This one's only 300. So I'm going to go ahead and tag it because when we go out of our scanning mode, all of them disappear. So it's nice to tag it. Okay, so it says equip terrain manipulator. So on PC you hit G, and that's going to change the multi-tool from mining mode to terrain manipulator mode. And sometimes you got to reposition just to make sure you get it all nice and good. Okay, so now we'll hit B to deploy our portable refiner. Then we'll put some carbon in there. And then here is the copper we just mined. Copper is not really used for much aside from making chromatic metal, especially here in the beginning. So I'm gonna go ahead and refine all of it. All right, so that's done. We'll put the chromatic metal into the suit, exit this, and then it says build a base computer. The base computer claims a site for construction, find a suitable area, and deploy the base computer. Well, see that? You took a swipe it. Okay, so B, take this, build a base computer. Searching archives. Universal Archive search reveals no prior claims on this site, so we'll go ahead and claim the base. All right, base computer online. Search base archives within the terminal. Extract plans. All right, so again, doing the story unlocks all these plans. So we learned the angled door, the timber wall, timber floor, timber roof, and a flora containment, which I'm not really sure what that, I guess it's just decoration. So now it says to construct bases as shelter from harsh environments, expand your base by earning new construction blueprints, return to your base to store and process items as you explore. So you can build storage and you can build other things. All right, so we put our base computer down and we learned a few new building parts. So from this point, you hit B to go into your build menu. And now you can see we've got a few more tabs open up here. And we'll go ahead and explore those real quick. So I'm not sure why it gave us this. I'm not really sure. I think it's just a decoration. And then over here, we've got a lamp and a flag. We'll be able to unlock a lot more of this stuff as we go on. But right now, the game wants us to build a floor panel. And that's going to take 10 carbon. And right now, if you look to the right, it says we have 10 out of 10 carbon, but then down below that, it says available to build 7. So we can build 7 of these floor panels if we wanted to. And then if we ran out of carbon, we just grab some more. So we'll put one floor panel down. And it's nice because you can see how it's now snapping to the edges. And you see how this one kind of goes underground? We just put it there, and it goes into the ground for us. So I'm actually going to put 4 of these down. And now it wants us to build a roof, which is interesting because I don't know how we're going to build a roof without building walls. So let's go ahead and do this a little bit out of order and build some walls. And it's nice again, once again, it will snap into place and you can turn these around. On these, it doesn't really matter, but some pieces will have an inside and outside wall. Uh-oh, we are all out because these ones take more carbon. So we will look around for carbon. I bet this tree thing has some carbon in it. We'll hold down F, identify this plant, get some carbon going. Oh, that's the terrain manipulator. So we'll hit G to switch to the mining beam. You can see in the top right there. It's a good thing we're getting some carbon because we are almost out of fuel for our mining beam. And we are depleted. So hit X, click on the battery, and then click on the mining beam. And we're going to click on carbon, and there we go. You hit B and hit the doorway, and we are just going to put it right here for now. Hit B again. We'll go back to the walls. Whoops, put that wall in the wrong spot. And we're out of carbon again. Oh, we're gonna take away this wall. So if you made a mistake like me and you put an extra wall in, just go to the build menu, hit C, because down here it says edit replace parts. So we hit C, and then it brings us this little menu here. And then if we just kind of look at the piece that we don't want, and we can hit X to delete it. There you go. And it gives you all your carbon back. So, and then we can also go back into the menu and put in the rest of these pieces. All right, so we've got the walls up. Now it's time for the roof. So then we'll go down here to the roof pieces. This one takes carbon and ferrite dust. They both actually do. So hopefully we haven't made our house too big. It says we can make 7 of them. I think we only need 4. And so now that we've got a pretty good roof going on, now we can be in here to get out of the elements. So that's super, super convenient. Then we'll go back to the base computer and continue on with this little tutorial that the game's given us. So it's going to give us some more plans, I believe. Salvage data from nearby plans. Scans. So extract plans. All right, so it gave us the blueprints for the construction research unit. This field deployable research module allows the user to convert old or damaged technology modules into advanced construction blueprints. So let's go back into the base where it's safe, and we will go ahead and hit the build menu. We're going to put our refiner down because we're going to need to get some pure ferrite, I believe. If we go here and mouse over what we need magnetized ferrite. So that is what happens when you take pure ferrite and put it in to the refiner. It makes magnetized. And to get pure ferrite, you need regular ferrite or ferrite dust. So let's see how much ferrite we actually have. So first of all, we're going to put some fuel in there. Takes 27 condensed carbon. We had 35. And then we've got some ferrite dust and some pure ferrite. So if we put the pure ferrite in, it takes 2 pure ferrite to make 1 magnetized ferrite. So we're going to, we'll take this 67 and make 33 magnetized. I believe we only need 20, but that's okay. We'll just convert the whole thing. Yeah, we need 20. So we got 20, put it into the suit, and then we'll just leave the fuel in there. And now we need a carbon nanotube, so we'll tab in, build a carbon nanotube with 50 carbon. And now we should be able to build the construction unit. So there we go. So now with the construction unit built, we can take a look at this. Analysis unit online, diagnostic suggestion. Users should recover salvage data from buried technology. Equip and utilize an analysis visor, which we already have. And so we can do two things here. We can research buildable technology or structures. So let's look at the buildable technology for a minute. So this list starts out pretty small in the beginning, but will grow bigger, especially once you get access to the anomaly later on in your travels. So then if we just hit A or D here, it'll cycle through the different kinds of things you can build. So we've got timber structures, which is mostly made out of carbon. We've got stone structures, which will mostly be made out of ferrite dust or silicate powder. Okay, that's good to know. We've got alloy structures, which is going to be ferrite dust. And then we've got our technology. So we've got a few technologies here that are going to become really handy. And so just going from the top, we have the base teleport module. This will allow us to teleport to other bases or even the space station in our system if we've already visited it. The biofuel reactor. This will allow us to power things in our base. So the teleporter needs to be powered. So we'll build a biofuel reactor to power the teleporter. So almost everything is grayed out here because we don't have any salvage data. So if you look up here in the top left, we need salvage data. So down here in the bottom right, it says explore the planet and locate buried technology. Recovered technology can be spent on new construction parts. Use the analysis visor to locate buried technology. Now we can do that, but sometimes if you're close enough, it's just going to show up anyway. But if we do turn on the analysis visor, we've got a buried technology there. So we've got a whole bunch around here. We're going to switch over to our terrain manipulator. So we'll turn on our gun, switch to terrain manipulator by hitting G until it says terrain manipulator up there in the right. And we're just going to dig a hole. I probably could have walked closer to this before starting to dig the hole. And we'll pick this up. And in the right there, it says we picked up two salvage data from there. Sometimes it's one salvage data, sometimes it's 4. Now we've got this big hole in the ground, but it's really close to my base, and I don't really like that. So if you see up in the right, underneath the word mine, you see switch alt. So if we switch it, we can go into different modes. So we have a create mode, a flatten mode, and a restore mode. I'm going to use the restore mode and refill in this hole to make it like it was before I dug up that salvage data. So we've got a salvage data, so let's go through here. Okay, we have 2 salvage data, and that happens to be the cost of the base teleport module, so we'll go ahead and buy that. That says we need 4 metal plating, 2 carbon nanotubes, and 40 sodium. And we have 0 of all that stuff. So we are going to need, the main thing we're going to need is sodium. That's kind of the harder thing to find here. So we can hit C, and that'll just kind of scan the area, and then there's a sodium-rich plant right there. Go get the sodium. Oh boy. There are some not-so-friendly plants. Yeah, that's weird. That sodium plant was actually inside the rock. Okay, so this hazardous flora also gives us sodium. This is really interesting. So we can actually harvest this flora, but do not walk into this green fog. It is poison. So we'll go ahead and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get rid of the hazardous flora, and get some sodium. And then we'll look at this. We've got the sodium. We need 4 metal plating, which is ferrite dust, and 2 carbon nanotubes. So we'll go back to here. We can make our 2 carbon nanotubes. All right, so we should have enough to make 4 of these, I hope. All right, so we'll make 4 of these for 200 ferrite dust. And now, if we go back to our build menu, we should be able to afford to build the base teleporter. And I'm just going to kind of put it here in the corner.
Nobody puts
teleporter.
Corner.
And now you can see it says this insufficient power with this red lightning bolt here. So we're going to need to build that biofuel reactor, but we haven't unlocked it yet. So that means we're going to have to find another buried technology. So this one's 382, this one's 262. Yeah, we'll just head this way. So now just hit G to go into the terrain manipulator. And that gave us 2 more salvage data. Great. And then we're going to go buildable technology, and our biofuel reactor only costs 1. So that's great. Build one of those. We'll need a metal plating and 1 oxygen. And while we're here, we might as well also unlock the electrical wiring. It is free after all. And we'll hit this, and I'm just going to put it next to our teleporter there. All right, so now furnace empty. So then we click on that, click on the fuel tank, and then we decide what we want to put in there. Go ahead and put in our 80 fuel. But that didn't change anything. That's because we need to take this electrical wiring, and you can connect it up with the ports. So anywhere that has this like green electric symbol there, and then you can drag it over to the other one, it'll snap, and there we go. Boom. So before we use this teleporter though, I'm going to do what the game's telling me and go ahead and rename the base. And so we'll name this base. What are we going to name it? Go up here, we'll call it Moon02. All right. And then we upload base. So now everybody will be able to find it. Well, someday. All right, so now that we have our base terminus set up and our biofuel reactor reacting the biofuel, looks like it's going to be fueled for another 49 hours. If you come back to your base and this is empty, you just throw some more fuel into it. And so then we have our construction research unit here, which will allow us to buy more blueprints for even more parts. And we have our portable refiner, so we can make more advanced materials. And I'm just going to leave all that stuff here in our base because we can just come back here and use it whenever we want. So to use the base terminus, you just go up, press E, and we'll head back up to the space station in our system. Now, this says all, and the only place that we have been other than our own base is this space station. And that's kind of the only thing on the list right now. Our bases won't show up because we are in our base. And these things will show up once you get through sort of the first story. So we'll just click here. We'll go to warp. And again, you can only go to the space stations once you've already been there. And as you can see, it automatically teleported our spaceship to the landing pad, which is super handy and kind of a trick. And then to get back to your base, what you can do is just go find a portal. Every space station will have one. Just do it like we did at the base, and then you can go here, hit your bases. Moon02's already showing up. It's even got a little screenshot, which you can change. So we'll hit warp to Moon02. And there we go. Now we're back at our base. And it's also put our ship over here near it. Now, we lucked out because it's a relatively flat area, and so it put the ship in a nice spot. Depending on where you build your base, sometimes the ship can end up in awkward places. which can be kind of a pain. Sometimes it'll end up like inside your your base. So if that ever happens, just hit X and we'll scroll over to the summon vehicles thing, and then as long as your ship has launch fuel, you can set it down wherever you want. So now it moved it instantly from there, put it here. So that's if it's ever in a weird space like in your base or whatnot. All right, so that is the basics of base building. Anyway, until next time, everybody take care, fly dangerously, and 07. Bye-bye.